In this video, we will be speaking about eating disorders. We will help you understand what eating disorders are, help you understand why someone might develop an eating disorder and what keeps it going, show you how eating disorders affect the body, help you decide if you want to make a change, and guide you towards the next steps in getting help. So, what is an eating disorder? Anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating are words used to describe eating disorders. They are all different, but sometimes people can experience all three. Wanting to be healthy is a good thing, but when your thoughts about food and health become obsessive and begin to affect your day-to-day life negatively, this is a sign that you could be experiencing an eating disorder. Anorexia. Anorexia is where people seriously reduce the amount of food they eat. This leads to unhealthy weight loss, and people often have a distorted view of their own weight or body shape. For example, they feel overweight, even though their body weight is much lower than it should be. People suffering with anorexia may also use over-the-counter medications like laxatives that make you go to the toilet more, or excessive exercise to keep their weight down. Bulimia is when someone feels like they have no control over their eating. People may throw up after eating lots of food because they worry about the amount of calories they are eating, and they think that throwing up will stop them from putting on weight. Binge eating is when someone eats a vast amount of food really quickly to the point where they feel ill. This can happen even if someone isn't hungry, and is often done in secret because people feel ashamed. People who have this disorder won't usually throw up or use laxatives. Although eating disorders affect the body, this isn't a physical condition, it is a mental disorder. This means that it is caused by the things we think. Believe it or not, it isn't about food. It's about the thoughts and feelings we have around being in control, or sometimes it is used as a way of coping with something. The good news is, all three of the eating disorders we have mentioned are treatable, but we understand it can be hard to get better all on your own. The sooner you can reach out to get help, the better, and we will discuss how to do this later on in the video. It is important to think about how someone might develop an eating disorder. This is a complicated issue because it involves thoughts and feelings about ourselves and how other people see us, so it's very personal to everyone. Eating disorders affect men and women of all ages, races, and backgrounds. Below are some reasons that could lead to developing an eating disorder. Culture. We live in a world where models are considered to be the height of beauty and something to aspire to. More often than not, these models are very thin, and this makes people want to be like them. Instagram, TikTok, and other social media platforms all have images and videos of models living amazing lives. These all send a very subtle message that sneaks into our heads and becomes a belief. For example, you may think, in order to be happy, I have to be beautiful and skinny. The truth is that not many people look like this. Photos and videos are often edited, and people we think are happy and healthy could be the complete opposite. Self-esteem and confidence. Sometimes we might feel bad about ourselves, so to attempt to fix this, we end up focusing on things like our body weight or shape, in the hope that it will make us live happier lives. Yes, becoming more healthy and eating nutritious foods will often make us feel better. However, when we start to focus too much on the way that we look, instead of how we feel inside, it is likely that we will begin to feel even worse about ourselves. Perfectionism. We can often set ourselves unrealistic goals in an attempt to be perfect. This might mean being a certain shape or weight, but because the goals are unrealistic, this will often lead us to feel as if we have failed, which can in turn make us feel worse. Control. Most eating disorders start in the teenage years. This is a time where there are lots of changes such as puberty, work or school pressures, increased independence, and lots of new and important life choices. For some of us, this can be very difficult and challenging. You may feel that keeping an intense track of your eating habits gives you a sense of control when everything else seems out of your grip. Trauma. Some of us may have had to live through things like death, divorce, bullying, or childhood abuse. These situations can cause us to feel completely out of control of our lives. You may feel that food is the only thing you can take control of. So how does an eating disorder affect the body? An eating disorder is dangerous. It can affect us both mentally and physically. Eating disorders can affect our brains mentally. Through having an eating disorder, it could lead to other mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, sleeping disorders, and even possibly self-harm or suicide. Eating disorders can also affect your memory and cause dizziness. Your muscles, joints, and bones could be affected if you have an eating disorder. Low salts in your body can cause dehydration, which can affect every part of the body. You could also experience weak muscles, swollen joints, bone loss, fractures, and fatigue. If you experience periods, your hormones could likely be affected, causing irregular or absent periods. Eating disorders can cause problems with your skin. For example, you may begin to bruise very easily. You may experience dry skins, abrasion of the knuckles, discoloration or yellow skin, and brittle nails. You may suffer from constipation, bloating, diarrhea, and bad cramps, as your intestines could be affected. If you are using pills or medication improperly, it is known as diuretic abuse. This can cause problems in your kidneys, as well as kidney stones and kidney failure. Eating disorders can be dangerous for our heart and may cause serious issues such as an irregular heartbeat, weakening of the heart muscles, heart failure, low pulse, and low blood pressure. Your mouth and throat are also likely to be affected. For example, you could experience a sore throat and cavities, gum disease, and erosion of your tooth enamel. So how can we make a change? To look at how we make a change, we should talk about the change cycle. This is a description of how most people make a change in their lives. The cycle starts with pre-contemplation. This is when whatever you want to change isn't bothering you, and you are going about your life happily. Later on, you will experience contemplation. The thing might start bugging you. You start to think that maybe something has to change. Thinking about it then moves you on to planning to make a change. You might decide to ask someone for support or read more about the thing that you want to change. You then make a change. We call this action. Once you have made the change, you keep it going. This is maintenance. Sometimes something happens and we slip back to our old ways. This is called a relapse, and this takes us to the start of the cycle again. We can go around the cycle a few times before making a change permanently, but it's important to understand that just because we have slipped up, it doesn't mean that we can't make a change. It's good to know where you sit on the cycle, because you can focus your energy on moving from one stage to the other easily rather than forcing it. For example, there's no point going to the doctor if you don't think that you want to change. At this point, it would be better for you to look at the reasons why changing might be a good idea. Have a think about your situation and the importance and your confidence around making a change. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you feel it is to make a change to your situation? Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about making a change to your situation? We do this because in order to make a change, we need to feel like it's important and have some confidence that we can do it. For example, if changing your eating habits is very important to you, but you don't feel very confident to make the change, it helps us to see where we need to reach out for support from others. So you have decided you want to do something about this. What's next? The doctor is the best place to start if you are worried about an eating disorder, and the sooner you can seek this help, the better. If you don't feel confident to go to the doctors alone, then it's important to reach out to a family member, friend, or trusted adult who you feel will help you take the steps you need. Treatment usually begins with assessment of how the eating disorder is affecting your physical health. Your treatment could involve counselling, group and family therapy, or working with a dietitian.